This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Hong, and my project is called Simon, and it's a tool for restaurant selection. So a little bit about who I'm trying to target. So opening up a restaurant is very hard, and some of the statistics that I read online shows that an average business owner makes about $45,000 a year, and that ranges from $29,000 all the way up to $153,000. There's a lot of variance in that salary, and so it could be a hit or miss. And if you do it poorly, business owners run the risk of going into debt, or they end up recuperating just a small fraction of their initial investment of opening up a restaurant. And yet, still, the process of trying to open up a successful restaurant is very difficult. And some of the location data are proprietary. They're hidden behind some company. It's not public. So small business owners end up reverting to dated and risky practices to open up their restaurant. And so Simon is a lightweight Flask application that's designed to help small business owners start up their next dream restaurant using machine learning, but without the complexities of machine learning. Just a brief introduction, it collects a list of restaurants that a user brings, and then allows the users to pick and choose how it should learn, what sort of model it should use. And it recommends listings or currently open locations that are up on the market on the fly. So going into the technical part, Simon uses SafeGraph's point of interest data as a source of truth. Specifically, it takes the raw visits counts that's spit out by SafeGraph's POI data, which is the aggregated raw count of visits to a particular location. And for my project, it was the location visit of limited restaurants, which is just fast food chains, your McDonald's, Burger Kings, Del Tacos, for July and August of 2019. So it's a 1 month count of how many people visited that location. So once it uses that as a marker to rank which restaurant is successful, because there wasn't any data for revenue for restaurants. That's not something that's shared online or in the public. So once it gains this source of truth, it goes into Yelp and labels each restaurant based on the category of food that they serve. So for example, some places they sell Mexican food. We just went for lunch. There's burgers or sandwiches. So that's one column. Another column was, once we have that, they geo-encode longitude and latitude based on the address that you give for a restaurant. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And again, if you have any questions or confusions, if I'm going too fast, please ask. Once that's taken care of, it collects something called census block group from the U.S. Census Bureau Geocoder API, and this is the smallest geographical unit for sample census data that they show in public. And the reason why I had used this was because there's a full open source data set provided by SafeGraph that links every census block group with 7,000 different types of attributes.
What kind of attributes are these?
Yes, so this would be like your population, number of male or female in that location, number of high school students or college students, things of this nature.
So you could use that to do more feature engineering?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And all this is provided safely and reliably through AWS Cognito Service, which is just a fancy way of saying a login system. So once that is taken care of, we have Simon use a custom Node.js API, which I had built. And if I had run on my computer, I could have shown you some interesting demographic information for Divergence Academy, or what sort of population there are in that region.
Okay, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Things that
This would be for Divergence Restaurant?
a restaurant in this location.
Okay.
Yeah. And this Node.js API can be customized to take demographic information from 1 mile radius, 3, 5, and or 10 mile radius. And some of the features that I collect is the population size and density, type of race breakdown, age, income level, the education attainment level, and I collect additional data that I didn't show up on the slide. But these include households by income, labor force and employment rate, completed building permits, commercial real estate vacancy rate, and appraisal district real property value. And again, this can be customized for 5 miles, 1 mile, 3 miles, etc. So now we're ready to learn. Simon takes advantage of Apache Spark's distributed MapReduce framework to do their machine learning. Currently, it uses only linear regression and random forest regression of up to 100 different decision trees in depth of 30. All our machine learning models are cross-validated in grid search for picking out the best hyperparameters. Outliers are detected and remove it, and we use an IQR to determine what an outlier is for this. And missing data are imputed with mean, all on the fly without any user selection. So now let's show you a quick demo.
So this is Cognito?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In full disclosure, I'm using data that's been already pre-compiled. It's already been trained, so that because it would take too long to do the fitting in real time. Uh-oh. Okay. So this is our user interface. This drop-down menu. Ideally, what I would like is for users to type in the type of category that they want for this restaurant. So for example, if I have picked sandwiches, from our data set, it filters out only the restaurants that serve sandwiches or chicken wings. So let's do sandwiches. And it shows you here all the locations of the restaurants that's in my data set using Google API. And just FYI, we have around 177 restaurants for sandwiches and 105 restaurants for chicken wings. So not a big data set.
Yeah. But you can get chicken both places.
Possibly, potentially, yeah. It's only checking if that string is within the set of categories that it's labeled with.
Okay.
So we'll do a random forest regression model. We submit it. And what I'm showing here is how the model predicts based on the raw the ground truths. So in a perfect model, we would see a diagonal. Every 1,000 that it saw in the ground truth, it would predict accurately at around 1,000. And this would be a good model. And as you can see, the RMSC value, or the R squared value, is not high, but also it's a negative value. So what that means is the model that I had used to fit this data is not accurate, and feature engineering is one of the main things that we're trying to tackle in the near future to make this application more robust. Because we're doing a random forest model, it shows you feature importance score. And again, this model is not accurate, but just to dive into it, to assume that it would say that population was a good feature for predicting raw visit count for restaurants. Now, once this is fitted, I have a curated list of currently open restaurants that are on LoopNet.com, which is just a commercial real estate agency. And I have around 33 locations, and it predicts what the raw visit count would be for a sandwich shop. So coincidentally, this location at the very top is Schlossky's, which is a sandwich shop. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because it's currently up on the market. So yeah, this particular location. And it predicted that there would be around 800 visitors in a month.
Okay, that's not much.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if that's a lot
Good or
or not.
bad? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and that ties into what the average cost of their menu would be to see how much sales revenue there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's about 30 people per day. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for fun, we could
Sure.
do let's do a linear regression model. Again,
So
not
this
a good
could be a service, right? If somebody says, I want to open a restaurant, give me a location where I can build one. You could say for $29.95,
yes.
I can generate an output for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing that we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do. I would like to have more customization to the user so that you don't have a predefined selection of the categories. They could upload their data, label it however they want, and it would spit out a recommendation based on how you define it.
It's like a machine learning as a service for restaurant owners or prospective restaurant owners.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, this is only for limited service restaurant. What that means is just a fast food chain. So
Okay.
this data set is only based on fast food chain locations.
Got it.
There's full service restaurants as well that I can use.
So you have personal experience here.
Not me specifically, but my parents are small business owners. They own a restaurant, and so I've helped them out throughout my life, really, since I was 13, 12. And so I've been around the business.
That's great. That's great. It's good to have a real world experience and machine learning come together here.
Definitely.
Good job.
I have a question for you about the table that you just showed
Yes.
with the addresses and
This one.
predictions.
Yeah.
So are each of these addresses and the predictions where there are current restaurants located, or are you also predicting where it would be ideal to put a brand new one where there's nothing there now?
Right. So that's a good question. It'd be a location, a brand new one. These locations were up on the market for sale. So they're not restaurants. They were maybe previously, but right now they're not.
But the map you showed was of existing restaurants.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could also, do you have a map then that shows these addresses where there's not an existing restaurant now, but where you're saying, hey, these would be good places to put one?
Yeah, that would be a good feature that I would like to add, to have another Google map and then drop pins for these locations.
Yeah, that would really be great.
Yeah,
And make it intuitive, certainly.
exactly. You can see how it's clustering also. Yeah. Yes.
Do you think that it would be easy to switch this to be a full service restaurant and make predictions for that, or would that take a lot of engineering on the back end for you?
No, I'd love to do it like that as well. Currently, it's only restaurants within the Dallas city. And again, I only have around 177 locations for sandwiches. I definitely like to expand this to different types of restaurants. Yeah. So going forward, like I said, feature engineering, model tuning is something that I'm very heavily focused on. Aside from that, I like to bring more capabilities, machine learning capabilities, to make this a more full-featured service for small business owners, and specifically different models like deep neural networks, gradient boosted tree regression, which are already provided in the Spark ML library. And Microsoft recently have their own Spark library that allows LightGBM, and I've heard good things about this. Other features like dimensionality reduction, feature selection are all things that are going to come in the near future. And like I showed you, there's not much in the user interface, and I'd like to add more features like more graphs, more visualization, allowing the customers to add their own data set and tuning their own hyperparameters, something that I like to do in the future. And right now it's being run, this whole site even is being run on a small Raspberry Pi. And so I'd like to push this up to Azure Databricks and AWS S3 for faster, more powerful analytics capabilities.
So where is this Raspberry Pi sitting at?
It's at home right now.
And the CWong.com
Is being served there
through Raspberry Pi.
through Raspberry Pi. And I have bought a domain from Google,
Okay.
CWong.com. And from Google, it routes to my Raspberry Pi.
It worked. It worked. It's a $35 device.
Yes, around that area.
Yeah, around that area.
Yeah.
So you can run your entire business on a $35 device. It still is. It's doing a decent job.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's amazing. What made you decide to build your own server and put it on a Raspberry Pi?
I think I wanted the learning experience. I just found it an intriguing device to learn about. They recently came out with a new model, the Raspberry Pi 4, and it's quadruple the capabilities of my current model. And so I'm thinking about maybe upgrading my hardware.
So you're going to spend $50 instead of 35.
Yeah, 55 bucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
But you could have had, AWS could have hosted this whole thing, is that correct?
I could. Yeah.
So what role, because when you first were showing this, I thought AWS was hosting this.
Wasn't.
So tell me, and now that kind of clouds my mind, what
Yeah.
role does AWS now play in this for you?
Yes. So AWS S3 specifically and Athena provides SQL capabilities. So like I mentioned, I'd like to bring more user customization. So if I say, let's pick restaurants that only serve burgers, it could do this in real time, doing an SQL query using Athena. Right now, I've already done the filtering, done the modeling prior to presenting. If I had done it in real time using Raspberry Pi, it would shut down. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same question like I have for everybody else. What's your biggest learning moment?
Biggest learning moment, I think, like Carrie mentioned, trying to break down a complex problem into very small size tasks that a machine can understand was something that I had to work on. And in a big project like trying to do machine learning and building up a UI, are complex tasks that I had to really break down into small tasks that a machine can understand. Was something that was a learning experience.
So in your problem set, how did you break it down?
Mostly, I would say, like for example, if like just even selecting sandwiches, I would have to make sure I'm routing it to the right ports on my server, making sure that these pins are formatted in an array that Google API can understand, and making Python speak with JavaScript, there's a little hurdle there because it's a different language, and things of this nature.
So did you do software engineering before? Or did you have that background?
Not to this extent, no. It was through the process of learning at Divergence Academy. I was exposed to these sort of technologies and getting my hands dirty. And through that time period, I had learned all this.
Thank you. What's the next big step? I know you did share your roadmap.
Yes.
You plan on putting this on c1.com? Continue to share this out?
Continue to host it? Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Good luck. There are a lot of other tools that you can incorporate in feature engineering. There's a tool called Feature Tools, so you can search on Feature Tools, plugins, drop in your data, and it may come back with a bunch of features that are calculated features and a bunch of other stuff that you can plug in without you engineering it yourself. Of course, deep learning would create features for you on your behalf. I think there's a lot more you can explore.
Yeah.
Both inside AWS, inside automated machine learning, deep learning, feature engineering. I think you will get to a great model. Not today, not tomorrow. I think it will require a little bit of work, but you will get a great model, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
But you have the infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
All right. Good job.
Thank you.
It's very impressive.